speak Spanish. We get by just speaking Spanish. Just like
really?
in Italy, we can carry on with. It's not.
It's not too bad. I can have a conversation.
Oh, yeah.
So long as you pick out a couple of words out of each sentence, you can understand what's going on, And it seemed like they understood the Spanish much better than we understood the Portuguese.
Yeah, they did.
So that I could keep talking to them. And they knew exactly what I was saying,
Well, we just keep talking. They figure something out. They always answered. It always worked out okay.
Seemed okay, yeah.
And so the kids were going to Guarderia, which is, as you say, in Portuguese.
And, they're just 2 and 4. So, of course, our friends that we knew here in Vancouver, they all spoke other languages anyway, so they don't think much of it. But we'd take a cab there, then I'd walk back, and then I'd get another cab, and then we'd walk back together. Right,
yeah.
And the area was all good. We had the samba schools and the little grocery.
The samba. They're all training for the big samba, for the carnival. So they're practicing in the street and in the bars, and the music's everywhere. That's what we loved. At night, you just heard the music everywhere you went. I even learned how to do the samba.
Oh, yeah. Every day they have the samba on the TV.
Watching the quick movements that they did with their feet and everything, I kind of copied them.
And then every night, same as we do in all the countries, we would walk down that wonderful promenade that goes forever. And the beautiful designs of the promenade.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah, they're really beautiful.
Everything's going on down the promenade. There's jugglers, there's sword swallowers. One guy swallowing a chain, and then you could feel his stomach to feel the chain in there. Oh, God. Some of the things they do to make money, you know what I mean? These guys.
It just does go for a long way.
It is amazing, the beach. And it goes all the way, a mile, 2 miles, whatever, till you get to the Ipanema beach area. And then that's another stretch of beaches. Oh.
Well, when we were in front, once we walked down to the beach, you would look one direction, you got the Sugarloaf, and you go the other way, and you got, the Ipanema beaches would start up. Then you could,
see the Corcovado in the distance,
which
nice.
Is wonderful, and Paul used the Corcovado.
I painted that many, many times.
Yeah. Oh, did you? Yeah.
Beautiful. Oh, great subject matter.
It must be the most amazing geography of any huge really city. Something. It's just incredible.
Yeah, if it was anywhere else in the world with the rich, with different circumstances, with poverty and everything, and the corruption, of course.
Wow.
Yeah.
The corruption is the most important, worst part, because the rich, all they want to do is protect their wealth, and so they hire people to protect their properties, their boats. All their boats have got these people living on them who are just being paid to be there to protect the boats,
Yeah.
And they're afraid to walk the streets with jewellery. They're afraid. You don't see any Rolls Royces or any expensive cars ever. And you don't see rich. You don't know who's rich and who's poor.
No, you wouldn't know. Just
because they don't wear anything except shorts and T-shirts.
Yeah.
So,
it is funny, isn't it?
It is.
It's different to other places of a similar nature, as you say. And it is
funny
that...
show their wealth.
Yeah. Yeah, they show it off. Yeah, and it is funny that the favelas are a stone's throw behind all these nice blocks, and they walk through the middle class areas to get to the beach and hang out all day on the beach, and then go back.
Well,
interesting.
Yeah, like if you're talking about 1-2 blocks right in front of the beach, they're just at the very end.
Sure, they're at the end, so they walk down.
They just walk straight to their beach.
One block and they're on the beach.
Like everybody goes to that beach.
They all take their umbrellas and nothing but
I was happy that they,
I
had that great real estate actually, and they would never move. And
I used to, when we went to the beach in the morning, I would dig a big hole and I'd put a big plastic drop sheet in it and then spend half an hour with my bucket filling it with water. So our kids had their own little swimming pool, and all the little kids in the neighborhood used to come and play with them there. So it kept everybody busy.
Very good.
Well, the thing that we didn't realize, like there's nothing like the Mediterranean. There's nothing like Hawaii, because we're always looking, language, where we could be anywhere in the world. So things we were looking like you could excise the beach. But again, Rio was very dangerous.
I swam
the waves were too
every
big.
day, but it didn't bother me because I'm used to big waves. But Joanne really couldn't, except just wade in and get wet and no real
and the
swimming.
children, no way.
The kids couldn't go near.
The
Actually,
children.
Tala one day did sort of slip and fall into this like wave a little bit, and I just grabbed her quick because there's such an undercurrent.
Yeah,
there.
you can't even wade.
Well, one day I went in, the kids were standing there, and I went in for a swim, and I went out past a couple of the waves, and they were breaking out there, and suddenly I got caught in a current.
Wow.
And I just went with it. I knew not to fight it, and it took me about half a mile down the beach. And as soon as I figured I could make it, I just swam like crazy to get in. And I made it. But boy, oh boy, that was a panicky. That was a little bit of a... Joanne wondered where the hell I'd gone to. Yeah, it just goes to show you don't mess around with the waves.
No, that side of the world, it seems, I tell you. Yeah, it's not all those, sort of warm... The water was quite cold.
The water, it's rough all along there. Even in, Mexico, some parts are very rough.
We'll take a pause here to remind you of some of the links available to discover the world of Paul Ygartua. The main website is to be found at www.ygartua-art-chronicles.com, and this is where the blog resides. You can also see works for sale and books at ygartua.com. Now, back to the interview. What were you at this time? What were you normally in these cities when you move around? You've been setting up on the front or nearby and painting, but you couldn't, or you didn't need to, or what was the deal?
We decided because, for instance, I'd have to sell my work at ridiculous prices because the artists that we did see at the marketplaces and that, they were selling fairly large paintings for very, very reasonable. And so I thought, well, my best bet is because I didn't need the money there, so my best bet was to just paint and do a massive big show at the Bayshore Inn when we got back here,
as usual,
and sell. And that worked out fantastic.
That, we always had that in mind. Like we thought, okay, if we're not going to be doing anything in the country that we choose, the city, then we take the show back to the Bayshore again. So that that was the plan, to do that. And of course,
I ended up with one guy.
Oh yeah, that guy.
He was selling marionettes on the beach, like little puppets and things. Yeah. And I watched him for a few days, and he was really a hot salesman. I could tell how he was working the crowd. He could even speak a little bit of English, and he was working the tourists. And so one day we bought one off him, and I said to him, look, I've got an idea. You're a good salesman. So we bought two of these off him. They were only $5 a piece or something. And I said, I've got an idea for you to make money. How would you like to come to our apartment? So he came around to our apartment the next day, and I'd done about 6 nice pen and ink drawings of Rio de Janeiro. And I said, I can have these printed into packages of 6, and you could sell them for $1 a pack, and you could, 50-50, we'll do something and make money, right? And he said, oh man, that sounds like a good idea. So I did it. Yeah. We gave him a bunch to go away with, 20 packs. He went away. Yeah. He came back in a couple of days, gave me the money. He's so happy. Right. We did that. So I did it again with him. Yeah. And in the end, Joanne said, well, I don't want him around every day. You know what I mean? Because every time he came, he'd bring aguardiente.
Maybe I can't.
So Joanne said, we don't know whether
I don't think it was my fault. He didn't come back.
I know.
He didn't come back.
No. That's when we said... And then when he did come the last time, I gave him every pack I had, and then of course he didn't come back at all.
But then
he figured. But then we met him. I saw him again in the street, and I went, hey, and he ran off. So I ran after him and grabbed him and said, hey, what are you doing? Don't run. I said, I'm not going to hurt you. Don't worry. I said, I just don't care. You can have them. Do what you're going to do.
Maybe he's been printing them
his whole life. And I think he's realised he can print them himself, right? Yeah. He doesn't need to give me 50%.
We were happy to help.
So I was happy that he'd found a way of making a buck out of it, Yeah. Anyway, he thanked me and everything else and was very courteous and grateful. Nice. And thank you for my children, he said. Thank you for my children.
Thank you.
He was only in his 20s.
He had wife and kids, and he only looked in his 20s, So anyway, I thought, that's great. You'll probably do okay with those because, hey, He's got a way of making a living all of a sudden, another way.
And then the other law, actually, you couldn't take anything. We didn't know about that, but anyways, when we inquire about, well, we always inquire about everything.
With the artistic patronage of the country, it's hard to get artwork out of the country.
Yeah,
we found
prove
out.
It's yours.
You have to prove it's your work.
That's the point.
So I ended up, I had to take photographs of every painting I'd done, which was about 90 paintings. And then I had to go
they're smaller in those days.
I had to take photographs, take them all round to this government office, and they had to stamp the back of each photograph so that when I went through the border leaving the country, they would check the paintings against the photographs and everything else, right? And that cost me about $5 a photograph. So I was paying I think it was about $700 in the end I had to pay, didn't I?
Yeah, it was
something
crazy.
Like $700 for all these to be done. Then the funny part was when we're leaving the country, I get all this stuff out to show the officers at the immigration place. And they just said, no, carry on. I said, no. I said, it's cost me $700. Yeah. You're going to look at this. And they just glanced at the photographs and said, yeah, carry on. Oh, God, after all that, I couldn't just walk through.
We were looking at to stop off in the Amazon, but I always inquire the same as when we were in Jerusalem with Egypt, the pyramids.
Is this, are we talking on the way back home now?
Oh, yes.
So I was just going to ask, because we haven't really covered stuff like, we haven't talked about Carnival, and we haven't.
Oh, forgot about Carnival.
And we haven't, and we also haven't talked about. Let's talk about.
Of course, how can we do that?
We haven't talked about. I'd like to also know about what your setup was there. If you were painting, you're in this $1,000 apartment. You had your studio in there, I guess. Yeah. And how did you? There's plenty of source material.
Well, it was a big balcony.
In Rio.
It was a big balcony.
Big balcony. Yeah. There's plenty of source material in Rio, so I doubt you had any problems. But I think from what I've read, you turned to the First Nations or the cultures
as
or
well.
That sort of. So tell us a bit about what you were painting and why and
Carnival.
Well, I all the local subject matter I used to take was sometimes I'd take sketchbook and do sketches out there, and sometimes I'd take photographs, and then of course for the carnival scenes. I mean, there was endless amount of subject matter for that. Mm-hmm. I mean, that was just mind-boggling with the colours and the outfits and the characters that they were in the streets. But I had my studio on the balcony because I had about a 15, 20-foot balcony that I could use with my easel there and everything during the day, so it wouldn't mess up in the front room. And so that was great there. I had a lot of space to work with.
That was
so you were outdoors.
And the materials,
they had glass.
They had glass.
You could
open them up or close them depending on the weather.
A conservatory
one
type.
of those type. That's right.
Right, I gotcha.
And then I found this amazing shop that sold art. Well, it was like art equipment, but it was more like a pharmacy. It was weird. It was a mixture of hardware shop, and all the different materials I bought there were completely different from what I could buy in any normal art shop in Canada.
Oh, really?
I mean, there was glitter and sparkly stuff, and then textured stuff, and oh my God! So I ended up painting some really interesting styles, which were done with a very deep texture. And some of the faces that I was doing of the Aboriginal faces of the Amazon and that really worked well with that style because it gave them a sort of an angular feel to their faces. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Almost in a cubistic way.
Yeah.
And so that was one advantage one new style, a new development that happened from being in a place where I couldn't buy my normal art equipment, And even the paper I was buying and card I was buying wasn't like the kind of canvas I would buy here in Canada. So the show itself ended up very different from every other show I'd ever done because of the materials.
Ever, I think.
And people loved the different materials that I worked on because some of the materials already had a slight texture to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was almost like, not quite like the wallpaper idea, but similar in a sense, you know.
Okay. Yeah.
But, you know, our clients back in Vancouver, of course, the natives from the Amazon, you had the Carnival, you know,